had it or hit it, Joe Biden.
Hit it.
What does that even mean? Had it or hit it? So first of all, if had it means I've had enough of Joe Biden, okay, yeah, you know what? I've had enough of Joe Biden. Hit it, Joe Biden?
I know a lot of people that would like to hit Joe Biden.
You mean like,
but no, they're trying to be so trendy thing. Like I would hit that. Like they're trying to be all like trendy and cool, like he's based or whatever. And this brings me back to like when Kyle referred to him as based and when I unsubscribed.
You mean this guy? This is
come
here,
God.
See? Come on, man.
No, that was when I stopped following Kyle when he referred to Joe as based. I'm like, I cannot.
Based.
She's like, yeah, hit that. She is now a cheerleader, but I cannot watch her squirm with this again. It's suffocating. Please.
You know, honestly, here's the thing. I think sometimes people want electoral politics to be, we overly identify with, it's like, if you vote for someone, they have to be the embodiment of you. And that's actually something that I think Donald Trump provided to a lot of people, so where it's like, if you voted for him and if you were a Donald Trump person, like you want, like it symbolized so much. But I think what we have here in this situation is a more just honest thing. There are plenty of things that the president does that I completely disagree with. I think, you know, right now what's happening in Gaza, I can't go on every single day seeing this. I don't associate myself with what's happening.
So if you do not like seeing what's happening in Gaza, then what are you going to do about it?
But the fact that she's using what we say all the time, which is, you don't need to agree with somebody on everything. We say that all the time. You don't need to agree with somebody on everything to support them and think they would do a good job. But the fact that she's equating genocide to just agreeing with a thing, like as if it's just one issue, and making it be the argument that we make when it comes to, like, say, somebody like Andrew Yang or someone where we might not agree with on all stuff, but we know would generally use sound judgment, like that kind of concept. And she's making genocide be like, it's just a thing. And I am just, this whole thing disgusts me.
Imagine how Rashida Tlaib feels, knowing that she's basically been left in the cold by this woman who has the ability with her platform to be almost Taylor Swift-esque in her reach. As she is definitely the equivalent of Taylor Swift when it comes to political reach of somebody who is not Donald Trump. There's no question that if AOC wanted to be a lightning rod for this issue and make it front and center, that they could not ignore it, that they would have to go after her, and that people would have to be backing AOC up. At some point, you got to fight. It's either fight or flight. And she's choosing to fight like a flick. And that is a joke. And this moment, it's unacceptable. It's unacceptable because there is no coming back from this.
She's sitting there and propping up Joe Biden and dismissing a genocide as if it's a policy issue that we just don't agree on.
But at the end of the day, we have to acknowledge that we just can't allow this fascist movement to grow in this country. And what I think is actually hopeful about our politics is that we can exist outside of electoral politics in organizing our communities and standing with our friends. And, you know, if it's coming down to this next election, for me personally, the decision to vote is not a difficult one for me, because, like, just because I'm voting for him doesn't mean that he embodies everything about me.
Right.
So that to me is where I'm at. But I think, you know, it's people are going to get mad on the internet because that's what they do. But I think we just got to be adults about the situation.
Stop it, please, please, please.
What in God's name is she talking about?
That's like, she's like Jill Biden. Jill Biden, we just got to suck it up. We just have to suck it up. Hold our noses. Are you kidding me?
to make a really good point, AOC, why don't you follow Anna Eskamani and see what a real representative looks like?
No, it's like she just said we need to be adults. That's the equivalent of like the Sarah Silverman thing. You guys grow up because we didn't get on with Hillary. Grow up. That level of condescension will not serve you.
Well, not only that, but think of it this way. Think of it this way.
Be an adult.
She's making this statement about, first of all, the statement alone is insane, that we just need to be adults about the fact that Joe Biden is literally committing a genocide. There is no question whatsoever about what this is. Again, we're just starting to, everyone is stuck on the number of like 22,000, 23,000. No, it's close to 33,000 now that we know about.
I don't think it's got to be so much higher.
And so
children are dying of heart attacks.
But if you think that that's the worst of her statement,
children are having cardiac arrest.
If that's the worst, you know what's even worse? The optics of this. Look at where she is and look at who she's talking to.
She's talking to a couple of Barbie dolls.
A couple of Barbie
and
dolls.
giggling about that we should just, somebody needs to be an adult and we shouldn't have to like everything that someone does.
This is also being done. If you don't know anything, guys, if you know the bare minimum about podcasting, here's what I can assure you. This studio that these women are working out of right now, that was set up specifically for them with that high-def TV, those high-def mics, their high-def setup, that's hundreds of thousands of dollars that was spent on setting up this studio for these two primitive Karens in the suburbs that want you to believe that they're fighting the good fight for things that really matter.
Yes.
This is such bad optics for AOC. That may be the worst part of all of this.
It looks like Suzanne Somers' infomercial or QVC.
This is so bad. This is an image that, remember, they often say people don't remember what people say, but they'll remember how they made you feel. How do you feel seeing AOC when it comes to very pressing times, sitting down with them? She's not even going to sit. She's not going to sit down with us.
No, but she goes on places like The View. I mean, that's her.
She's not going to sit down with Jordan Chariton. You know who else she's not even going to sit down with? She's not even going to sit down with Crystal and Sagar. And they are about as close to that mainstream buffer line that you can get to, where they are fighting the good fight, but are still mainstream to a degree. She wouldn't even sit down with them. So to me, that speaks a lot about where she's at now.
It's just so disappointing.
Who are you talking to? You think that these two women, with all due respect, and I'm not, you're not supposed to judge on looks, but
you always do that.
But if I'm judging on looks, I can tell that these two women would never push back on her, would never have anything to offer.
Well, no, I mean, no, that's the reason she's willing to go on and talk with them, because she knows they're not going to say anything.
Let's finish it up.
Does the Democratic Party have a backup plan between now and November should Joe Biden fall prey to some sort of medical emergency that you're aware of? And I think as a voter, it's a very reasonable question to ask considering his advanced age.
I think it's a super reasonable question to ask. I do not know, to be honest. I think what people tend to look at is just line of succession in terms of the job itself. But it is something that I think is a reasonable question to ask. If something like that does or were to happen, because there is not a primary, I do believe it would go to the convention. I think this is the biggest disconnect, I'd say, between the Beltway and like everyday people. But it also cuts to this question of, I think a lot of people think who can beat Trump. And that's a largely untested assumption too.
Right.
There's a lot of like,
I am so sick of
this
that
idea that
you talk. I am so sick of like, as if Trump is the thing we have to be most scared of. No, we're living with what we should be most scared of.
The fact that Trump is the leading candidate by far to get into the White House at the end of this year, shouldn't that tell you something about the state of affairs?
And here's the thing. When you scared us into voting for Joe in 20 by saying that we can't have Trump again, you've now had 4 years to do something that shows that there was a value added to that. And you've done, in fact, it's worse. It's worse on environment. It's worse on foreign affairs. It's just worse. So how do you stand there screaming that we should be scared of Trump?
The problem is that they were able to convince you, or at least so we thought, in 2020. And in their eyes, Trump, in their mind, is the greatest thing that ever happened. They think that they can get away with every, in broad daylight, mind you, every nefarious thing that the corrupt DC Beltway has been used to getting away with forever and ever and ever. And now it's just out in public. And they want us to be mad at Trump because Trump has committed crimes that they're all committing.
Right. No, and be very clear. We don't like him.
But again,
he's disgusting.
That to me is a greater problem than people are even willing to acknowledge.
Thanks for watching. If you want to support our mission to transform politics into service, please like this video, subscribe, follow us on social media, and consider joining our Patreon, where you'll get early access to our interviews as well as other exclusive content. Links are in the description. Peace out.